Thank you, Ms. Southwell, and a pleasant good afternoon again to everyone. This afternoon is my task to present to you the Health Emergency Operating Center Situations Report for today, May 18, 2020. The World Health Organization reports that there are 4,618,821 confirmed cases globally, with almost 312,000 in terms of deaths. In the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, we have sampled and tested some 391 persons. 15 persons were confirmed positive, 373 results returned negative, and today we have 3 results pending. As I said before, we all know we've had 15 confirmed cases, but it's with pleasure this afternoon I inform you that all 15 cases have recovered. I repeat, all 15 cases have recovered. The number of persons in quarantine in a government facility today stands at 1. The number of persons quarantined at home, 1. The number of persons released from quarantine, 813 in total. Again, we have all 15 cases recovered, 11 in St. Kitts, 4 in Nevis. This afternoon, in our report, we are going to provide you some COVID-19 news. Today's news flash will look at the topic COVID-19 and children. Our children are our future. And so how does this new virus impact children? Now, in Wuhan City, China, the researchers looked at the number of cases between January and February 2020, and among the 75,465 cases, only 2.4% were children under the age of 18. And interestingly, there were no deaths under the age of 9 years. They also added that the children at that time of year, they were mainly indoors because they were having their spring holidays. And so that could be one of the reasons why not many of the children were significantly impacted. The children had only mild disease. As you are aware, the virus left the Western Pacific region, was imported into Europe, North America. And they are noting clusters of children in the United States of America, in particular New York City, clusters of children in the United Kingdom, and in some of the European cities, France, Italy, Spain, and Switzerland. And they are presenting with what is now deemed Paediatric Multisystem Inflammatory Syndrome, or PIMS, and it's related to COVID-19. Now, these children, they have been tested, and the molecular tests some of them, their test results come back positive, others, their test results are negative. But when they looked or checked them in terms of serology for antibodies, they found antibodies in their blood, which suggested that they were infected with COVID-19 previously. So now this pediatric multisystem inflammatory syndrome causes symptoms similar to Kawasaki's disease, which is really a condition that is characterized by inflammation and swelling in the arteries of the individual, mainly the middle-sized or medium-sized arteries. So what the scientists are saying is that this PIMS, or Pediatric Multisystem Inflammatory Syndrome, causes symptoms similar to Kawasaki's disease, but they concur that it's a little different. So it's a separate inflammatory syndrome linked to COVID-19. So it's not exactly the same disease, but it's similar. Now, this new coronavirus, they are thinking, causes the immune system to hyperreact. It's like an exaggeration of the immune system. But it's only impacting a small number of children. So it's not meant to scare you. It's just to provide information as to what is happening. But please note that only a small proportion of children are impacted by this new syndrome. And this syndrome is characterized by prolonged fever, redness of the eyes or conjunctivitis. There's a typical rash. There you can get swollen or swelling of the hands and feet. The children complain of headache. You will note that their lips can be cracked and swollen. The tongue has a characteristic strawberry-like look. They complain of sometimes vomiting, diarrhea, abdominal pain. They may have swollen lymph nodes in the neck. They present with abnormally low blood pressure or hypotension, and they can progress and go into shock or toxic shock syndrome. So what they are saying is that it's similar to Kawasaki's. However, the manner in which it impacts their cardiovascular system is somewhat different, and more of these children are going into toxic shock syndrome. So it's a little different. The Centers for Disease Control in the United States says that only 2% of the confirmed COVID-19 cases were among children under the age of 18 years. So I'm just underscoring again that only a small proportion of children are impacted by this syndrome. Children tend to have milder symptoms, if any. So in other words, those children that are impacted by COVID-19, most of them just have mild symptoms or no symptoms at all. Some of them or most of them are symptom-free. Serious COVID-19 cases are rare among young people. This pediatric multisymptom inflammatory syndrome is extremely rare. The cases that they are finding represent only a small proportion of the many children who have been impacted so far. It's as rare as 1 in 1,000 children exposed. So in conclusion, pediatric COVID-19 is primarily a mild disease. So in other words, children who develop or are diagnosed with COVID-19, they only experience a mild form of the disease, and they really require hospitalization. Children tend to be symptom-free, and they are usually identified through contact tracing. Of our 15 cases locally, 2 were children, and we picked them up merely through contact tracing. They hardly had any symptoms, if at all. Children with less serious disease and those without symptoms may be responsible for disease transmission. So in other words, they may be without symptom or symptom-free or mild disease, but they have the potential of passing on the virus to other individuals. Again, this new syndrome, pediatric multisystem inflammatory syndrome, is real. I want to just underscore the importance of physical and social distancing and the preventive measures. These measures are important for everyone, for all age groups, even children. So it's important for children to practice physical and social distancing as much as is possible. But the children, they can catch on easily in terms of washing their hands and keeping their hands clean, especially after playing outside and playing with their toys, etc. Protocols to prevent infection transmission must be carefully considered before reopening our schools. I repeat, protocols to prevent infection transmission must be carefully considered before reopening our schools. And healthcare providers, we have a responsibility to monitor closely the presentation and outcomes of children in our federation and the wider Caribbean region. In other words, are our children impacted by PIMS? There's an Arab proverb that says, "He who has health has hope, and he who has hope has everything." It's our responsibility to maintain and ensure the health of our children. Thank you.